South Africans, here we go again. Electricity prices are going up again. A 40% hike approved by NERSA is squeezing the life out of ordinary citizens. Both the DA and the EFF are fighting back. But is there more to this story? Are big businesses pulling the strings behind the scenes? Welcome back to Heads Up SA. We unpack the EFF and DA's shared battle against Eskom's price hikes. Dive into Lukhona Mnguni's controversial analysis on the ANC and big business, and ask, are the elites playing both sides to keep us in the dark? Let's get into it.
We cannot keep bailing out and paying for failure.
Koketso ye ya Eskom ya ditšhelete tše telele batho ba bo rena ba ka se kgone.
The cost of living continues to increase. We must help poor and middle income households because life is just too tough.
Eskom tariffs, according to statistics, skyrocketed by 450%, vastly outpacing inflation, which increased by 129%.
On one side, we have EFF MP Macy Kennedy taking no prisoners in the NCOP plenary as she exposes how Eskom's collapse is a deliberate ANC strategy to pave way for privatization.
It is the ANC-led government that has for years looted and destroyed Eskom through state capture and corruption. They have for years deliberately sabotaged SOEs by milking them dry, and now that they have destroyed Eskom, they want to cover up their crime through unbundling and privatization.
Now, both the EFF and DA agree on this. The ANC is to blame for Eskom's collapse and the ridiculous 40% hike, which no regular South African can afford. They've been fighting this losing battle for years, from the 9.6% hike to today at 40% hike. But here is where their argument diverge. The DA says, "We told you so." They claim they foresaw Eskom's collapse and took the initiatives in the Western Cape to secure alternative energy sources.
We have foreseen that Eskom will eventually one day collapse. And for that particular reason, our Premier has established a Western Cape Energy Council. Part of that Energy Council is to develop an integrated resource plan. Part of our plan in the Energy Council is to generate 5,700 megawatt. Part of that plan is to say currently we're using 4,000 megawatts from Eskom, but we want to increase it to 5,700. And 2,000 is already in procurement. We have already procured also 743 megawatt. So for the Western Cape, for the DA in the country where the DA is governing, we say people are suffering too much.
But here's the irony. They are still protesting against the hike, proving that even their best efforts can't fully shield citizens from ANC failures. Now the EFF takes it further. Macy Kennedy didn't mince words in the NCOP, arguing that the ANC's intentional mismanagement of state-owned enterprises like Eskom is part of a grand plan to benefit private business elites.
It's obvious that the negative impact of electricity will also have an immense impact on big businesses, and the business people will contemplate on rescuing their income by maybe deciding to generate their own electricity to avoid the high cost of Eskom.
On the other hand, the DA's Chris Pappas and his team are out on the streets protesting electricity hikes and attending the KZN NERSA hearings, where last-minute chaos even led to the meeting being suspended.
Hi everyone, Chris Pappas here. We're at the NERSA hearings in Durban for KwaZulu-Natal. It is absolute chaos out here. Last minute changes to venues, too small. You know, there's a population of thousands of square kilometers and they have one venue. People have traveled kilometers and kilometers, woken up incredibly early to get here, only to be denied access. This is the complete shambles around our energy regulation. There's not enough space in here. The meeting has now been suspended because members of the public, people inside the meeting and out, have refused. When you come to KwaZulu-Natal, understand that we want to participate, we want to be heard. Do not come here and undermine us in a tick box exercise. The meeting has now been suspended and a new date will be communicated.
And that brings us to a bigger question. Who really benefits when the state fails? Political analyst Lukhona Mnguni recently sat down with Sizwe Mpofu-Walsh on SMWX, and his analysis is causing waves. He argues that South Africa's big business elites are thriving on the ANC's failures. Think about it. Broken public healthcare, private hospitals profit. Failing schools, private education booms. Eskom's collapse, private energy providers cash in. Mnguni suggests that these elites want the ANC to stay in power, even in a coalition, because it allows them to lobby for policies that secure their profits. Could this be why state-owned enterprises like Eskom are intentionally mismanaged?
There has been a lot of work that the elites have been doing, particularly business in this country. So whilst a lot of business executives will tell you about the dangers of ANC's mismanagement and all of that, the truth is that a number of private companies and businesses have actually benefited from the failures of the ANC, the broken health, the broken schooling system, the broken policing and safety issues. You look at private security. Private security has more guns in their hands than the South African Police Service. You look at mushrooming private schools that have just popped and even listed in the JSE. That's how much demand there is.
Energy.
You look at the energy sector. You look at the health space. And how much private healthcare has become profitable and viable and so on because of the failures in much of public healthcare. Now, so don't let anybody make you believe that there has not been somebody profiting. So whilst the ordinary citizens and law-abiding citizens like ourselves, who are not necessarily tycoons, really just earn an honest living, have been feeling the pinch and have been taking a lot of stick from the mismanagement of the state by the ANC. The elites have been profiting. I mean, they even profited in terms of the outcome of the GNU. I mean, the JSE Green Rally, the currency rally of the rand against the dollar, and so on.
Here's where it gets murky. If the elites are backing the ANC to keep things broken, could they also be hedging their bets with the DA? The DA has been vocal about corruption and privatization, exactly what benefits big business. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula denies these claims, saying ANC is working with the private sector, not bowing to it. But opposition parties like the EFF and Jacob Zuma's MK party have accused the ANC of intentionally collapsing SOEs to pave way for private profit.
The MTBPS, presented under the guise of structural reforms and private sector participation, clearly signals an intent to defund, collapse and privatize our state-owned entities, in effect state-owned companies.
Which prioritizes the racialized apartheid styles of economic growth, and its intention is to continue privatization of strategic sectors of our economy.
So, are the elites funding both the ANC and the DA to secure their interest, no matter who wins? And if that's true, what does it mean for the fight against electricity hikes and other failures affecting ordinary citizens?
Let us understand that electricity is a fundamental public good and should be made available at affordable rate so as to bolster national economic security and support the development of society. So when all this Eskom hikes overwhelms the municipalities, the heavy costs are passed on consumers who are me, you, and the poor of the poorest.
Opposition parties like the EFF, MK Party and others have a massive responsibility here. If Lukhona Mnguni's analysis is correct, these parties need to expose the challenge the collaboration between big business and the ANC-DA coalition. Solly Mapaila from the SACP had already criticized the GNU for leaning into neoliberalism. And let's not forget Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma's calls to hold funders accountable. But can these parties unite to take on the elites? Or will their divisions let this system continue? South Africa. This fight isn't just about electricity hikes, it's about who really controls our economy and government. Are the elites pulling the strings behind the ANC's failures and hedging their bets with the DA? And more importantly, what can we, the people, do to stop it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Heads Up SA for more in-depth analysis on South Africa's most pressing issues. Together, let's shed the light on the truth.